So I should probably preface with the fact that I still enjoy judo and I'm still thinking about making content. But it's probably a little hard to believe that when this is the last time you've posted a video. But I digress. So today's topic is going to be dealing with injuries in judo. Which, knowing when you are getting thrown, being able to recognize when you're getting thrown or you're about to get thrown, and when you would have gotten thrown. But the number one time you should be fighting a throw is when you're in the equal position. You don't want to, if you want to speak pure theoretical judo, you fight getting thrown from the standstill, from the grip fight, from the showing your throws and not letting him get his throws off. If you're trying to fight the throw while you're being thrown, you've already lost. What can you and can't you do? What kind of sport, well, how long will it be until you could do sport-specific movements again? All those things are very important because if you act out of turn, you're going to prolong your recovery. So, naturally, before we begin the conversation, I do have to say I'm not a licensed medical professional. If you've had an injury or you're currently dealing with an injury, take everything I say with a grain of salt. Listen to what your doctor has to say, your physical therapist, whoever it may be, whoever is the professional in this sense. Everything I'm going to be talking about is purely from my experience, conversations I've had with other athletes, judokas, whatever the case may be. So this is a cultivation of many first-hand experiences. So take that to add into your bucket, but don't let it be your bucket. Your bucket is your doctor. So speak to your doctor. So when we want to speak about prevention of injuries, I like to look at it in two parts. You look at the self, and then you look at everybody around you. So what do I mean about the self? The self being a couple things. Making sure that you know how to properly break fall. Super important. You get it told in your first day of judo, and probably every sparring day, every drilling day, every day, you're going to be told, break fall, break fall, break fall, right? So, of course, yeah, it's super important. Everybody should know it. But even then, it still sometimes gets overlooked. And it gets overlooked in ways you wouldn't even think about. So, of course, number one, make sure that you know how to break fall. So you have to be able to break fall backwards. So, you throw yourself backwards, smack the mat. Being able to break fall forwards. So classically, that's shown as, you do like a front roll and then you smack the mat at the end. So like if you're getting thrown by like a seonagi, you're going to be rolling over the guy's back and then you're going to smack the ground. And then something, even I overlook all the time is, breaking fall sideways. So say, for example, somebody takes their feet out and you're going to fall like this. You got to be able to break fall while you're falling sideways. Even though it's super important, it's always going to get overlooked, right? And naturally so, you really want to be competitive, you really want to fight the position, whatever the case may be. But you always have to make sure you are drilling your break falls. They should be part of everyone's warm-up routine. Typically what I like to do for my warm-up, I do a little bit of running around the mat. Then you get into your dynamic stretching. Then you get some acrobatics. So you start doing your forward rolls, your back rolls, your cartwheels. Get every part of the body nice and warmed up. Then you get into like your grip fighting, really start to warm up those judo specific muscles, get the forearms nice and warm, get the shoulders warm. Do a bunch of break falls, you're gonna do some throws on your partner's gonna throw you. Perfect way to drill break falls. But you have to make sure that it's being incorporated, or else that's like the easiest way to get into an injury, not being warm, getting thrown, and something hurts, you tweak their knee, you tweak their shoulder. It's gonna happen. It's always gonna happen. So number one is making sure the break falls are on point. On my previous point, I talked a little bit about warming up. Just want to emphasize that point. Making sure that you're warmed up. You hear some cases, like even UFC fighter Merab Divalishvili. He'll say that he'll just go straight into his rounds. He won't even warm up. He's a freak of nature.
I don't warm up. I don't stretch much. I just start straight training.
What I know is that if I start running cold, my ankles start hurting, my knees start hurting. So I always like to get nice and warmed up. So, I mean, I would say you probably need to get warmed up, blood rushing and whatnot. But doing everything possible to get warmed up, both physically, mentally. Getting warmed up mentally is huge. And then just getting your judo specific movement in. And my last point when it comes to talking about the self, and I would say is the biggest point, is when it comes to sparring. Specifically which, knowing when you are getting thrown, being able to recognize when you're getting thrown or you're about to get thrown, and when you would have gotten thrown, right? That point goes specifically with taking care of your partner and making sure that they don't get hurt if there's like a mismatch between skill levels or weight classes. That's a big thing, recognizing when you would have gotten thrown. But let's emphasize the point on knowing when you're about to get thrown or knowing when you're getting thrown. A lot of the time, the injuries will occur when you're trying to fight the throw. But the number one time you should be fighting a throw is when you're in the equal position. You don't want to, if you want to speak pure theoretical judo, you fight getting thrown from the standstill, from the grip fight, from the showing your throws and not letting him get his throws off. If you're trying to fight the throw while you're being thrown, you've already lost. Again, speaking pure theoretical judo. Once you're in the motion of getting thrown, it's done. You've been beat. So you have to accept that. That's all. It's a mental thing. It's an ego thing. And the sooner you're able to accept that, you won't get hurt. You're able to realize, okay, I'm getting thrown. Let's break fall. That's it. Get up, reset, go again. When you try to consistently fight the throws all the time, maybe you're scrambling, maybe the guy's hitting you with a seonage and you're like, oh, I saw this YouTube video where the guy posts and does like a cartwheel. Your arm is going to break. So it's recognizing when you are going to get thrown or you're about to get thrown. That's the safest way. You can just break fall, reset, and you just do it all over again. Doesn't matter. It's not that deep to get thrown in sparring, but you want to protect yourself so you can get more sparring in. Once you've spent a lot of time on the mat, at your dojo, whatever the case may be, you're going to get a feel of who are the people training around you, who's super competitive, who's super high level, who's your older folk, who's got current injuries. Picking your partner is the safest thing that you can do for yourself when it comes to prevention. If you know that you have very good sparring with this specific person or very good drilling with this specific person, that is the way that you also help yourself in preventing injuries because you know the other person is going to take care of you. And that's another point as well. Knowing how to take care of your partner and picking out the person that's going to take care of you. What does that look like? Again, guy throws you seonage, but instead of absolutely just slamming you on the floor, the arm that they're using to throw you, once you're doing that full rotation over, they kind of hoist it up. It takes a little bit off of the impact. You're not slamming on the mat as hard as possible. He's taking a little bit off, but in a safe manner. He's also not yanking your arm up, and then now you've got like a dislocated shoulder, right? And then that kind of goes against the point of, helping your partner out. So taking a little bit off that throw for you in a safe manner is going to be huge in longevity when you're consistently drilling throws and doing hard sparring and preparing for competitions. All of these throws, they add up. So being able to pick out that specific partner that's going to help you out for the particular situation is going to be huge for your longevity. So let's say in our little scenario, all the points of prevention we spoke about, everything failed, you got hurt. Now what? Right? Prevention, you can only do so much prevention. Again, in a high octane sport, injuries are bound to happen. You can try to pick out somebody in your dojo and try to ask them, have you not been hurt? It's probably rare that you're going to have somebody like, oh yeah, I haven't had an injury. And to those people that haven't had injuries, I knock on wood for you. But it's rare. It's rare to be in the sport and not have an injury. So, in this situation, you worked on yourself, you worked on your the people around you, and you got hurt. Now what? Biggest thing, of course, is to identify the injury. Now, again, another preface, I'm not a medical professional. I only speak from my own experience and what I've done in the past. You want to speak to a doctor, identify the injury, identify the severity of the injury, and then kind of look at your timeline. What can you and can't you do? What kind of sport? Well, how long will it be until you could do sport-specific movements again? All those things are very important, because if you act out of turn, you're going to prolong your recovery. Say, for example, you're recovering for 3-4 weeks, and you're like, oh yeah, I got this, and you try to do a throw, you tweak it again. You might not even be at square zero. You might be at -1 because you were already compromised to begin with. So it's better to be safer than sorry. Play your time and +1. If they tell you 10 weeks, maybe do 11, maybe do 12. Just make sure you're 100% good. You tried to prevent an injury and it didn't work, so you got hurt. You were dealing with the injury. You identified what it was. You waited the time that you needed. You did everything that you had to do, and you were given the A-OK to get back into training. What do you do now? Now we get into the aftermath. Really, the biggest thing that you're going to be dealing with in this kind of aftermath period is a lot of a mental battle. Of course, you're still going to have weakness, right? You're going to have some sort of imbalance, and you kind of supplement that with weight training, resistance band training, and then just slowly getting back into the sport. But you're really going to be dealing with the mental block. And what that looks like is, again, say for example, you hurt your shoulder, you're a big Seonagi guy or a drop Seo guy. What are the odds that you're going to be just jumping into those positions once again? It's tough. It's really hard on the mind to try to enter into throws that you were doing flawlessly before and try to do them again after you got injured, because you're just going to be thinking about, is this next one going to be the one that puts me out again? So just practice your basic movements. I'm a really big fan of grip fighting. Grip fighting is always nice because you can do it at any pace and any intensity, and it's still going to yield benefit to you. And then you can kind of get into like lessened versions of drilling throws. Say for example, entering Seonagi, but you're not completing the throw. You just lift the guy, kind of hold the guy up there, get all the muscles tense, and feeling what it feels like to bear the weight of another human being, right? Because that's what your body needs. That's something that weight training is not going to help you. Yeah, you could put a barbell on your back, but it's all going to be balanced. Judo is all about unbalanced weight and moving that around. So that's how you're going to kind of flatten out the impurities or flatten out the muscle imbalances. So doing things like that, grip fighting, your basic kind of entrance of throws, completing throws, and then you do that piecemeal, and then slowly but surely you're going to forget that you were even hurt in the first place. And then, it's kind of have to be a constant revision between yourself and your coach, for example. If, you're very close with your coach, kind of observing you to make sure that, you're doing these things with good technique, you're getting back into the flow so then you don't get hurt again. Simple as that. Well, I hope this was helpful. I really wanted to just make sure I put out a video to kind of show you guys that I'm still in this. I'm still in Judo. I'm still in this content creation space, and kind of assure that I'm still seeing all your guys' support, and I appreciate all of it. I'm still very surprised that I'm still getting this level of support even after not uploading in about a year. So again, I just want to reiterate, I really do appreciate the support that you guys give me. I've got a lot of rough plans that I'm looking forward to the year. I definitely wanted to start the year right, make sure I was putting out a bit of content for everybody to enjoy. I hope this was helpful. It's a little vague, but this kind of conversation really helps current judokas and newer judokas to really get into the sport, because it may be that not many people talk about it, and you should be encouraged to share your experiences. So I hope this helps, and tune in for the next video. Peace.